Hello and welcome back to the GB Fantasy Football channel. Now, the main Premier League, Sun Dream Team, and FPL fantasy games might have wrapped up, but thankfully we've got one throughout the summer. It's not the Euros or the World Cup, unfortunately. However, it is the Club World Cup 2025 fantasy game. Now, it's going to bring its differences compared to the normal games, how points are scored, how players are perceived, and obviously we're breaking away from just the European teams here, so we're branching off into the unknown of sorts. If you do like today's video, please do subscribe to the channel. We will be covering many more videos across the course of this competition, and of course we'll be looking out for new information with regards to those other fantasy games that I've just mentioned. So let's see how the draft is lining up, shall we? Now, I don't know about yourselves, but my knowledge beyond the European game is very slim at most. However, when these kind of mid-Euro games, fantasy games, the World Cup games come around, I like to play them a little bit differently, or at least I try to, at least. We go through an entire season of playing with your Man Cities, your Liverpool, your Arsenals, all them players. So I always find it rather interesting to see what kind of players I gravitate towards in these kind of games. World Cup wise a few years back, and Euro wise to some extent for the Sun Dream team, I tended to gravitate towards the European players just because when August rolls around again, we can't use them. Players like Messi and Mbappe. I'm not one who plays the Champions League fantasy game. Maybe this season I will, but previously I have not. So it's always nice to see them kind of players in your team. How many more times can you have a front three of Mbappe, Messi, and all them other ones? Even Kane. I know we had him for years at Tottenham, but with him being at Bayern Munich, he's not an option anymore. So the team is as follows. In goal, we've got Armani and Sommer. Now, I can't say I know too much about Armani. He looks like a budget goalkeeper who rotates well with Sommer, who predominantly will be my number one goalkeeping choice. Obviously, all these choices and picks so far are subject to change. I'm still learning a lot about the game as things go. I've been trawling the internet trying to find all kinds of bits of information as I'm going along. Sommer, from what I can tell, he was very good in the fantasy game for the Champions League. Lots of save points. Inter Milan being a very good defensive side before the Champions League final, that was, where they got demolished by PSG. But with the manager now gone, can we expect things to be a little different at Inter Milan? Once again, currently unsure. But I'm going to back a team for clean sheets in this competition. They've got some fantastic fixtures, three very favourable ones in the group stage. The last one, maybe a bit tricky. First two, very much decent. So for that reason, Jan Sommer is in. If you see me look to the side, anytime during this video, I've got a reference point on my phone for some of these names because they do keep slipping from my mind. The back 3/5, the choices are Ben Biani, is a very decent pick. You've got, I think, is it Reina or Emerson, the right wing back, the Brazilian. A lot of people have gravitated towards him. From what I can see, it seems like Ben Biani had some decent output last season, over 5 goals and assists throughout the season, and also he is below that 5% threshold, which means he will be gaining those 2 extra points if he scores 4 or more. Across the back line, that is something that I'm very much targeting. Might be tricky to keep some of them under there, but hopefully they might stay. We've then got Stancic. Is it Stancic or Stancic? I struggle with that one at Bayern Munich. I had Guerrero in a previous draft. However, there's a lot of doubt going into the opening game against Auckland if he will start or not. And personally, I don't want that. If they get a clean sheet, Stancic, he is under 5% owned, so he will gain those extra 2 bonus points, which will be fantastic. Let's have a little look. We've got, is it Mora from Porto? Decent budget option. Knowledge, slim on the ground. I've seen a lot of teams have selected him, so he's in there. Porto, favourably. I've had some very decent options and fixtures. So, I feel like they could potentially get those much needed clean sheet points. The midfield is where this team is most likely going to change. Players, prices, and the amount of budget that I've got left remaining, and trying to squeeze in, despite what I said at the start, Cole Palmer. I do feel like Chelsea's fixtures are good, and with him not being in the team, I'm very, very worried, especially going into those early games. I do feel like Cole Palmer against a lesser team could very much go off. But the midfield four, we've got Mora from Porto, which is why I kept getting confused with the defender. Mora at the back, Mora in midfield. Don't tell me you're not confused as well, because quite frankly, it's got my head in a tiz. We've also then got Vitinha from PSG. Once again, I've taken to the Champions League format that's just gone. Decent for tackles, decent for other points, bar goals and assists. It pops up with them occasionally. But if you can hopefully hit that 4% mark, the 4-point mark with the extras, is he that consistent player? I'm not sure. He's one for the chopping block if things change. Elise from Bayern Munich, an absolute lock. He's had an incredible season, 17 goals, 17 assists. Moved from Palace last summer and he's just gone from strength to strength. He is one of the most essential players in this team and many people's teams, especially with that opening fixture. They're playing semi-professional footballers, and I can see this score being a landslide if Bayern Munich go from the off, playing their starting teams, no rotation. It could be a mauling. And the final player is Julian Brandt. Now in this position, a lot of people will probably opt for Adeyemi. They both play in those positions behind the centre forward in the 3-4-2-1 formation. But Brandt, he ended the season quite well, picking up goals, picking up assists, getting involved in those goal-scoring actions that we're all looking out for. And is 1.5 million cheaper than Adeyemi, so it means you can spread that funds across the team, making upgrades where necessary. For me, it's a fantastic option. The front three, we've got big hitters everywhere. 33 million spent across the three players, 11 million apiece. We've gone triple premium on this draft. Mbappe, Haaland, and Kane. Yes, I did mention about Messi at the start, and it is a toss-up between Messi and Haaland currently. I feel like Haaland has a slightly better second fixture. Messi I'm leaning towards him being my 12th man. One will start, one will 12th man, and it's a big decision about which one I would like for the second game week currently. But having Kane, Mbappe, and Messi, it's a front three that in any format of any fantasy game you look at and go, there's goals there, you've got points coming out your ears. Even though Messi is towards the back end of his career, magic is at the end of his feet. But Haaland, is he going to be my captain this week? I feel like currently I'm leaning towards Kane. At the front three, I feel like Kane is a steadier player. Haaland will get you goals. Very rarely will he chip in with the assists. And Mbappe is that kind of player. He scored in something like 8 games in a row for Real Madrid in all competitions. An incredible footballer. He showed even with France, goal-scoring capabilities once again. That front three, I'm hoping, chucking the big budget up there, can carry me through at least the first game week, maybe the second game week as well. Now, as previously mentioned earlier in the video, onto the bench. Sommer is the goalkeeper. In this format, it doesn't really matter who your bench is, as long as you've got them all lined up correctly. The players that play the games at a later date on the bench, so you can bring them in if your starting 11 doesn't do well. We've got Sommer, we've got Masterwani, I believe it is, of River Plate. Right. Fantastic option, budget-wise that is. I'm not sure how much he's going to actually contribute to the team. If there's a player that comes away with 1 or 2 points, he is 100% going to get game time on the pitch. We've then got Denzel Dumfries. With Inzaghi leaving, will they continue to play that back five? He's thrived in a right wing-back role for years. He's been constantly linked to the Premier League. Whenever you watch him in the Champions League, he's always getting up and down. You always see him either assisting, big chance creation, or the occasional goal. This will be dependent on how they line up. if they go into the second game week and we've seen them in the first one playing the back four, Dumfries isn't staying around. It's too much of a premium asset, especially when there's players like Trent Alexander-Arnold now in the game for Real Madrid, who, as history says, would probably be a slightly better option than Dumfries. But going into the first game week, Dumfries will be one of my premium defenders, hopefully scoring those big points. And then we've got Cambiasso from Juventus. He's currently floating around that 5% mark. I believe him and the goalkeeper from Juventus are bang on 5%. Will they drop below? Will they stick or twist? Hopefully, it comes out at 4.9% for selfish reasons, and you can just get those extra 2 points. Every little helps, and with the amount of people that are showing him and the amount of teams that he's currently going in, especially in the YouTube content world, I do feel like that 5% might creep up closer to 6% before the deadline. But that is the team, that is the 15-man squad as things stand. I'm constantly tinkering, constantly seeing where I can improve. Is there a player that's come out of the blue? But they are the 15 as things stand. That is all for today's video. This is the first draft on the channel. Please do tell me what you think of it. Leave a comment down below on how you're finding this game. As someone who's played Sun Dream Team and FPL this season, it's very much a different concept, especially the substitution rule. It's mind-boggling. Where FPL, your players come in automatically. This one, you've got automatic transfers, you've got manual transfers. It's a learning on the job process for me. So if things aren't exactly smooth, please do comment down below on how I could streamline things a little bit going into the next few match days. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got many more videos coming on this one. Hopefully things go as well as they did in other fantasy formats. If not, it's a bit of fun in between whilst we wait for the big hitters to turn back up at the end of the month. And do like the video. Liking it gets in people's sub boxes. Be greatly appreciated. The socials are in the description down below. We've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got all the good stuff down there. Please do go check it out. Thank you very much for watching, and you'll be seeing a new video from me very soon.